Hi everybody, this is Dr. Lang from Inline Family Chiropractic, and I'm here with a good friend and patient, Paul Hudson. And I've known him for a number of years through the practice and gotten to know him quite well. He started in the practice here under what we call torque release or standard chiropractic care, and really helped him a long ways. He's going to share the story here, but then well, in the last 3 months I think we converted him over to what's called ABC. And we're going to explain a little bit about why we did that. Okay, so Paul, I'd just like you to start out with, tell us a little bit about your history of what led you to coming into our office.
Okay, over the years I've had multiple accidents, just physical, motorcycle accident, different things that have taken its toll on the body. And I guess, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, I had shoveling snow, and we're just at work shoveling walks off, and somebody honked the horn, and I kind of turned to look at somebody, and I locked up solid, and kind of went to the hospital. Guys kind of helped me in the vehicle and got me to the hospital, and anyway, at the hospital they just gave me some meds and they put a neck brace on me, and I went home and laid on my bed probably for 3 weeks or so, and I knew Glenn was in chiropractic, but I was always kind of nervous or scared at the time to maybe take a step. And anyways, he ran into my wife, and my wife explained that I was having some troubles and I'd been laying on my back for multiple weeks, and so they finally got me in a vehicle and got me up here to Inline and started doing some adjustments. And I guess it was probably about 3 weeks after that when I started to move my neck again, and I could actually turn my head and look at things again, and it slowly progressed from there. And I did eventually return to work, and now I've had some struggles since then, and just physical things that have happened. And that was kind of the start, I guess, to my chiropractic care. And then
so before you come in, we did talk before I turned the camera on, just to kind of, just to chat, just to discuss some of the key points of your story. And before you come in for your initial exam and started chiropractic care, you also mentioned that you would lock up, or your back would give you trouble. Tell me that story.
It's probably was going on maybe 8 to 10 years. I was a truck driver. Every year I'd spend probably anywhere between 2 to 3 weeks, somewhere throughout the year, flat on my back. Couldn't move, couldn't look, couldn't turn, couldn't do anything. Kind of just seizure of the spine. And eventually it would, after rest and taking medication, it would slowly release, and I would get back to work again eventually. So, but I guess I still work through pain. I just went back to having to work again, right?
Right. So then when you started chiropractic care, you also mentioned something about that.
Yeah, since starting chiropractic care, I haven't had an episode where I've had to actually lay on my back for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I've had maybe a day where 2 days where I've been stiff or sore, where I've had to maybe rest a little bit more, but overall I've been 10 times better than yeah.
And you'd have to be here probably. Your frequency of care never went past once a week. You were always here once a week, if not twice a week, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
And
it was just that constant keeping me going.
Yeah, tell us a little more about how you felt at that point.
When I would come in to the office, I would have the adjustment done, and when I left I always felt better. It was kind of like a release. My body would feel good, and then within 2 days or so I'd be wanting to come back here. I knew that everything was getting tight and struggling again to move, and so I would come back in later in the week and have an adjustment again, and that would get me through the weekend and then into the beginning of the week again when I would be back again, and it was just kind of that ongoing battle.
So you always had that burning need to come back.
Yeah, and it would get to the point where it was like I wanted to feel that good feeling of when I left here.
Yeah, and so what I call that is patients that are dependent, and dependent on us to keep going. And it's a pretty accurate description, right?
Right.
So then, and I recognized that within you. I knew that you were hurting and that you were I wanted to do more for you, and that's why I talked to you about ABC and said you really got to try this. So then, so tell us now about your journey starting ABC. You hated it, didn't you?
I hated it.
Yeah.
At the beginning, it was all the stretches and to the point of where you thought your body was in pain, and but it was afterwards. It was like the day afterwards, and 2 days later, and then pretty soon it was 3 days later. Like I was still feeling good, rather than being that feeling of dependent of wanting to rush back here and have an adjustment again. I felt good, and we've progressed through that where now it doesn't seem to bother me as much, and I put more faith into you, allowing you to do stretches and adjustments with me.
Because the stretches, for those of you that don't know, can be painful when you're really rigid and really tight. But only during the stretch. Afterwards, there's very little residual effect. Maybe you might feel a pulled muscle for a day or two or things like that, because these stretches are deep. They're designed to get into the core of the spine, to stretch and break down adhesions in the spinal cord area, which again, what Paul was going to talk here a little more about is that once those adhesions are removed, the corrections are more permanent. Yeah. And that's what you're. Yeah. Can you elaborate on that a little more?
Well, like we said, it's been about 3 months now. I notice just when I'm with friends and family, my posture is. Everybody says, "Paul, I didn't realize you're so tall. Like, I'm only 6'2", but I stand different. I'm not shrugged over. I'm not worried about struggling with pain inside. I feel good when I stand tall. I can now drive a couple hours and drive in a vehicle and get out and have no pain, no low back pain whatsoever. I'm only coming once a week now, and even when I do come, I'm not kind of dependent. I don't feel like I have to be here. It feels like, okay, yeah, it's just we're taking the next step to making things better. And
yeah.
That's
because each one of these treatments really does build on the previous and get you stronger and straighter, and you work better.
Like I spent, I guess, years of struggling to put my socks on, which seems, but now I can reach down, put my socks on. I can put my shoes, tie them up. I don't need any help anymore. Yeah.
So you mentioned there before that you drove the other day to where again?
I went to London.
So it's a 2-hour drive.
2-hour drive.
And before ABC, you would have to stop halfway and get out?
Usually within that 50 minutes to an hour, I would have to get out. It would be like falling on the ice on my tailbone. It would be so much pain. I would get out and have to stretch and take 5-10 minutes of walking around, and then get back in the vehicle, and then continue your trip. And then by the time you got that next hour again, I was back.
And that was even with the regular chiropractic care, which I'm awesome at, right?
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding. But and as a professional, I am always striving to improve and highest quality care that we can provide.
Before I started,
within our means,
I couldn't go half an hour.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You remember, I couldn't drive half an hour, and I was dead. I was just finished.
Absolutely. Good quality of life improvements here.
Absolutely.
So now your ability to handle stress, you mentioned that a little bit before we got in the camera.
I just feel like I don't feel stressed to the point of like my body's stressed and everything kind of builds up on me anymore. I just kind of take it's day to day. Like.
Well, you said you had the same life stresses,
my
but it doesn't affect you physically like it used to.
Yeah. Before, where I think like things would go wrong, you'd have trouble at work or whatever at home. Things would pile up, and the stress would physically actually would hurt you. Where I don't feel that anymore. I don't feel like I'm still dealing with the same things I dealt with 2-3 years ago. Still struggles in life. That hasn't really changed all that much. It's just my actual physical structure, how I feel. When I get up in the morning and I go to bed, I feel better. I feel like I can meet the next day.
Right on. So, any advice for anyone trying ABC?
I would say,
or thinking about trying to.
I would say try. It's like a general practitioner said to me one time. He said, "Paul, I'm just a GP. I only know general things, but sometimes you have to go to somebody like a chiropractor, and they will help you get through something that I can't even do." And that's what I found in Glen. With coming to Inline Chiropractic, it's been incredible. It's been a great journey, and I look forward to the future of just staying mobile and moving.
Yeah. Well, again, as you unwind through this process, and I'm new at providing this service, but my colleagues tell me that within 2 years, generally people completely unwind and they get back to a normal life. And so some sooner, but they say allow 2 years. So we're only 3 months in and look where you are.
I know, it's great.
Look where you are, you know, and so I'm just excited to share this journey with you and to look forward to you getting, you know, completely unwound.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, thank you.